Hello, how are you?
Good, how are you doing?
Pretty good, pretty good. What's your name?
My name is Kevin Arnold.
Who are you, Kevin?
I'm president of the San Diego Neighborhood Coalition.
Can you tell me a little bit more about that?
Yeah, San Diego Neighborhood Coalition is a coalition of various neighborhoods. We represent about 10 different neighborhoods. Some of the neighborhoods that we represent in our coalition are Little Italy, Downtown, East Village, North Park, Mission Hills, Mission Valley, University Heights, uh, Point Loma. So we are a coalition of neighborhoods that come together to try to address issues in our community.
What kind of issues? What do you do?
Well, we focus, one of our big focuses on homelessness. We're very concerned about the homeless situation in San Diego. You know, because this year we got additional 3,000 homeless people that are living on the streets. And so that is an impact in our communities, particularly our homeowners and particularly our business owners. And so basically what we're trying to do is we're trying to come up with a comprehensive strategy to be able to address our homeless problems with our elected officials. The other thing we are concerned about is crime in our communities. We're concerned about crimes that are being committed against business owners, crimes that are being committed against residents. So our major focus as an organization are to focus on crime and work focus on homeless and come up with solutions to address these problems.
What kind of crimes have you focused on?
Well, let's just talk about one example. I was visiting one of our members the other day named Booza Boutique, and Booza, every time she comes and opens her business, she finds all kind of human waste in front of her business. And so basically they have to actually take between hour and a half to clean up all the human waste from the business because they can't open it. And then there are homeless people that are just sitting around the businesses. So when customers see them, they won't come because they kind of afraid of homeless people. And so basically, we're concerned about that. Recently, well, not recently, one of our business owners had some person, and we think it was a homeless person, threw a brick through the window. It cost her $1,500 to get it repaired. So we're very concerned about the effect that the homeless population is having on our community, and particularly on our businesses and our residential community.
How many businesses and what kind of business have complained about this?
Well, a lot of the businesses that are in our organization are small businesses. They're not the big, large businesses. So it directly affects them because, you know, small businesses don't have a whole lot of resources to be able to take that. So whenever something happens to their business, like the windows broken and stuff like that, it puts a strain on financially on the business because they have not put any money in place to deal with those kind of issues.
Are you a private organization or
Well, basically, we work with different organizations. Like I say, we're a neighborhood coalition, so we work with a lot of different neighborhood groups in San Diego.
are you a state agency?
Huh?
Are you a state agency?
No. We're a nonprofit.
You're a nonprofit?
Yeah.
How long ago did you started this?
We started a nonprofit last year. We're about 1 year old now, and we started because of the crime and the shootings in our community. And then we began to address it. We worked closely with the San Diego police. They have been great working with us, helping us address these problems, helping us deal with the homeless situation.
Can you tell me a little bit more about the services and activities you do in order to help them?
Yeah, basically what we do is we have a neighborhood watch program. Now, what our neighborhood watch program is like, Dylan Garcia, he's going to be here later. He's our chairperson of our neighborhood watch. And basically what we do is we have different community members in our community. When they see something, they are taking a picture of it, they're reporting it to the San Diego police, and basically the San Diego police is responding. So it's where the individuals, the business owners, the homeowners, they're all working together in a neighborhood watch program. So we're watching, trying to share information with the San Diego Police Department on what some of the issues that are going on to our community so they can be more effective on dealing with the crime in the community.
Is there any issues that worry you more than others?
Yeah, I guess the most important issue that worries us is the mental illness of a lot of these homeless people. They have a mental problem, and a lot of times they are coast people and they threaten people. But again, we have to deal with the mental part of the homeless people to being able to solve their problem. Not only do they have mental problems, but they don't have a place to live. They're not receiving those services. And the only way that we're going to be able to help these people that are going through this is to be able to get them some mental health services, get them off the street, get them into, they can begin by shelter, but we would like to get them in some kind of permanent housing and help them get some kind of job skills so they can get a job to take care of themselves.
What is your plan?
Well, basically what we plan to do is we plan to bring the community together, all the different neighborhoods, and we plan to come up with a comprehensive strategy that we can present to our elected officials, talk about how we think as a community these problems need to be addressed. You can't make them take help. If a person doesn't want help, you can't make them take it. So basically what the San Diego County has, they have something called a care court. So the care court is where the governor put in place if a homeless person cannot control themselves on who they are, and if their mental problem is so bad that they're not able to function, then the county can go in and they can take over that person's rights, but they have to go before a judge. A social worker have to determine that they are not in control of themselves, and that what they do is they take them before a judge. The judge will send them before a psychologist, and they determine whether or not this person has the capacity to be able to function. And if they're not able to function, then the state and the county takes over their rights and they control the decision making for that person. That means they can commit them into a shelter, they can commit them into services and things of that nature.
How many times have stuff like this happened in your experience?
I can tell you about it in our community. It's happening every day. We're getting these homeless people with these mental problems every day, going to these business owners, threatening business owners. The business owners are just throwing their hands up because, it's pretty bad because, this is a function of the city and the county, and the city and the county got to step forward and they got to address these from a mental standpoint, because if we don't deal with the mental, it's hard to deal with the physical, and so we got to deal with the mental first.
What are the most common mental illnesses that you find in the people that you
Talking
help?
to themselves, threatening people. Some of them have knives, some of them have guns, pulling out knives on people. So, and just because since they got mental problems, a lot of times they are not in control of themselves. And so they're threatening other people. To themselves, saying somebody's running after them, saying that you did something to them when they don't even know you. It's like there's some kind of, it feels like there's some kind of devil inside these people. And the mental problems, see, if they're not taking their medication, if they're not, making sure that they're taking this medication, then they're out of control. And so that's what happens a lot of times. It's hurting the business owners because the business owners are dealing with these problems on a daily basis. It takes away from their business. They cannot run their business if the homeless who are out there yelling in front of their businesses, threatening their customers and stuff like that. So what we have to do is we have to call San Diego police. San Diego police respond. They respond dependent on how urgent the problem is. Because, San Diego police don't not have enough police officers. So they can't always respond. Now, if someone's been threatened with a knife or a gun, or if somebody's been threatened with their life, San Diego police will respond that very urgent. But if it's a homeless person just out there yelling, they don't consider that a major problem. Yeah, of course, a lot of them are on drugs, a lot of them on fentanyl. This is what they do. I mean, we go to some of our business owners and they take pictures where they're doing drugs openly on the street. And so we have the business owners called the San Diego police, take pictures of them, make sure that when they come, we give it to San Diego police so they can have it. Because the more pictures they have, the better it is when they take it before a judge.
Wow. And what are the most common drugs that these people do?
Well, a lot of them are doing the fentanyl.
Fentanyl.
A lot of fentanyl is a drug of choice. A lot of them they're drinking alcohol, on a daily basis. When they get their financial resources once a month, that's when we find the problem is really bad, because that's when they start getting the fentanyl, they start buying the drugs. See, the drug dealers know where they get money. They know when they get money first a month. So the drug dealers know where they're at, so they come and look for them. And then they give them the drugs and they get the money.
Have you ever had any close experience with one of these people?
Yes, I did. I had to call the police officer. I was doing a neighborhood watch one night on India Street, and there was a homeless lady, and I approached her and said, the business owner don't want you to sleep inside the business. She cussed me out. She threatened me. She kept going into her bag. I didn't know what she was going to get, so I called the police department. They advised me to stay away from her, give them a description of her, who they are. They came and they finally caught her and they banned her from coming in that area again. So she doesn't come back.
Do you think these bans that they do from places and organizations with these people, do you think they work or?
Yeah, they work. I mean, the safe sleeping sites, they're working. You know, they're getting these people off the street. They're getting them into safe sleeping sites where they get services. And then once they get to a certain point, they're moving into permanent housing. So yeah, they work.
What are some of the certain problems that you find in this system?
Could you repeat that?
What are the certain problems or pinpoints that you find on this system in which they're taken from homelessness into a permanent housing?
Well, what they try to do is they first of all they have to first, the social worker has to first diagnose what the problem is. Once they diagnose what the problem is, we got something we call the hot team. It's through the San Diego police. The hot team is a team that drives around the city. They get these homeless people, they go and talk to them, and they try to get them to move into safe sleeping site. But the problem with that is, if the person don't want to go, they don't have to go. So that's why we have the county, where the county can actually come in and take over their rights if they're not in control of themselves. And the county is able to determine with these people what they got to do and how they got to do it. But then we have to go through the court system because the judge has got to sign off on it. But at the same time, the businesses are suffering because of this situation.
How many businesses can complain?
In our community, 70% of our businesses are complaining.
70% over how many counties again?
Huh?
70% among how many counties again?
Well, I can tell you about the areas that we represent. 70% of the business owners, their number one problem is homelessness, and the fact that it's happening on their business.
And you plan already mentioned to move them from homelessness to shelters, then permanent housing.
Well, what we would like to do is we would like to come up with a comprehensive plan with the various neighborhood groups where we would be meeting and we would come up with a comprehensive plan. And then what we would like to do is present that plan to our elected officials.
What organizations are you working with together?
Well, basically, we are bringing in some agencies that work directly with homeless people, and they're starting to work with our organization, and they're working on us on getting these homeless people moved from the street to places where they can get help.
When these people get to move to this place, do you have a hand on the action?
No. That's where the government agencies take over because they are the ones who fund these different programs. So what we do is we report the problem, and then we report them to our government agencies, and then either the police or the county, then they are the ones who actually move these people from the street to the safe sleeping sites, to the shelters, to permanent housing.
Is there any problems that you have seen in which they can get better on?
I mean, they can always get better, but see, in order for you to get help, you gotta want help. And some of these people, they've been living on the street for 30, 40 years. So all they know is the street. They don't know any other place. So basically, you have to be able to convince them to go and get some help. But if they don't want help, we can't force them to take it. So basically, that's where the county comes in with the care court, and then they can force these people because they can take them before a judge, and social workers say, look, we've interviewed this person. This person has extreme mental problem. This mental problem is causing them not to be able to function on a daily basis, and then that's where the judge can commit them to the care court, where they take their rights and they actually control the homeless person's day-to-day life.
Is there any place after that the homeless person gets his rights back?
Yeah, I mean, it depends on the social worker. You know, social worker is going to be working with these people on a weekly basis. They're going to be doing reports, talk about how they're progressing. Some of these people they went into the system through the social workers. They got into permanent housing, but that doesn't stop. The social workers still continue to work with them. The social worker would be working with these people until the end. So, once they get in the system, the social workers continue to work with them because that's the only way you're going to be able to keep them moving in a positive path.
Is social working one of the careers that you think is gonna grow, especially here in San Diego or California?
Yeah. The county is responsible for human services, so they are the ones that are providing the social workers, and the social workers are working with the county to assist these people.
What do you think is one of the jobs or professions that we can look up for, especially in these times? I remember when I first came to the U.S., this place wasn't like that. It was clean, you throw something in the trash, and it came up. How does it impact you personally?
Well, let me just give you a little history on how these people got to where they're at. When Ronald Reagan was the president, usually we used to put these people in, I hate to use this term, we used to put these people in mental institutions. When Ronald Reagan was the president, he decided to close all the mental institutions and put these people back on the street. So that's where this problem came from, because at that point, they could put a person into, they call them mental institutions, but that's a bad word. We shouldn't say that. We should say development centers so where they can get some help. And once he closed all the mental institutions, the people were put back on the street. So that's how this problem has emerged.
When was this?
I think this was Ronald Reagan. He was a president. He was a president of the United States in the 70s or maybe in the 80s. I think it was the 80s. And he was a former governor of California, and then he became president of the United States. And then once he became president, he removed all the folks from mental institutions and put them back on the street.
And do you think that's one of the reasons why in the 70s and 60s there was such a crime spike and violence?
Yeah, that's the reason why we got the situation we got now, because they moved around the mental institution. They put them on the street. Once they put them on the street, there was no services, there was nothing. But when they was in the mental institution, there was services, there was caseworkers, there was things for them to have. So, that's what happened.
Do you think that was a mistake?
It definitely was a mistake. And we're paying for it now with the crisis that we have. We have a homeless crisis in San Diego. We have a homeless crisis in this country. And until we deal with the mental impact of homeless people, we're never going to be able to deal with how to get them from homelessness to job development to housing. And one of the big problems in San Diego, we don't have enough housing. So until we get more housing that we can put these folks in, it's going to be a problem.
And the solution for housing, what do you think it is?
Well, we got to come up with a way to get cheap housing to be able to move these people. Some people saying ADUs are one thing we need to look at. But we have to be able to move these people to some kind of housing, because we got all these homeless people. But if we can't move them to housing, it's not going to help their situation. And San Diego, City of San Diego and San Diego County talk about housing first, which means they want to put them in housing first, but then before they deal with the mental thing. But I think we got to deal with the mental thing before we put it into housing.
So you think that something like what happened in New York, it's mandatory right now? It should be mandatory. You saw what happened in New York with the homelessness crisis, that the governor let them take their rights over for a time and go into a mental institution, get rehab, and get better.
Yeah, because they was getting help when they was in the institution. They had a counselor. They were getting services and stuff.
What are the projects that you have in the near future?
Well, one of the programs that we're working on is we're working on a home buyer seminar. A home buyer seminar is where we bring first-time home buyers together, and we try to connect them to become homeowners. So we work with the state and we work with the county, because there's a lot of funding out there for people that want to purchase a home. But then they have to go through the process, because in order to purchase a home, you have to have good credit, you have to have savings, and then and the state and the city offers grants for first-time home buyers, where they'll pay your down payment, they'll pay your move-in costs and stuff like that. But you have to go through the program, and so that allows you to become a homeowner.
Do you think there's a problem of people not knowing the resources and the
No, information is always a problem. If you don't have the information, you don't know how to take advantage of something. So we have to, we have to be able to get information out to people so they'll know about it. A lot of people didn't know that the state of California this year, they gave something like $350 million for first-time home buyers, for people that want to become a first-time home buyer. A lot of people didn't know about that money. So it's one of the goals of our organization to make sure that people have access to the information. So if they can have access to the information, they can take advantage of the program. So basically, a lot has to be with information. And one of the things about San Diego Neighborhood Coalition, we're pretty good about making sure that the community has access to information and stuff like that. We also do a network reception once a quarter where we bring business owners together and they network with each other, try to do business with each other. We do our major fundraiser next year is going to be our Community Day. Community Day involves a business exposition where there's 100 businesses in booths promoting their products. We have a medical exposition where there will be 100 medical providers providing free medical screening. There will be a children's circle where all kind of events and games for children. There'll be a health and wellness fair. So, and this is a free event. We're looking at scheduling at a waterfront park next year. So it's a way to promote to community information exchange so they can find out about all different kind of services that are out there so they can take advantage of it.
How do you fund this organization?
People pay membership to be in an organization. We go and we get grants. Since we're a nonprofit, we can get grants for our organization. And our long-term goal is to create a patrol in some of our communities where they can patrol the area and they work closer with the San Diego police because San Diego police are understaffed. So if we got a patrol that we can come up with some kind of way to fund it, then that would be helpful to the business owners and the residents in the community.
So you are talking about a privatized police force?
It's not a police force, no, because they'll work with the police, so it's a patrol. And so basically, all they will be doing is they'll just be documenting stuff and working closer with the San Diego police when there's a problem. So they don't have arrest powers or anything like that. They just the eyes and ears of the community working with the San Diego police, letting them know what's going on.
So you were talking about some kind of like, say, guard. I mean, in the
Well, we don't want to call them guards. we would rather call them community representatives. Guards is like people that carry guns. Our folks won't have guns. All they have is a phone, a badge, and they would be communicating with the community. So they would be a service to the community. Yeah, but they won't be guards.
Sorry.
That's a bad term right there. And when you start talking about guards, it talk about people that are being incarcerated. No, we're not trying to incarcerate nobody. We're just trying to be able to connect people with services and stuff through this patrol and working with the San Diego police.
Garcia. Hello. Who are you?
My name is Dylan Garcia. I'm a San Diego resident of about 10 years now. I got my bachelor's degree at the University of San Diego. I've been a board member here with the coalition for about 2 months now, but I've been a member for a little over a year. I'm a husband, I'm a dog dad, and I have a full-time job where I work in tech right now.
How do you come to know Kevin?
I first met Kevin probably a little over a year ago. I found him actually on the Nextdoor app. He was hosting an event at a church in my neighborhood where he was getting a lot of the community together to go over issues and problems that we've been seeing throughout the Little Italy neighborhood. And he was sort of bringing to light a lot of those issues. And so I reached out to him, introduced myself, see how I could help assist during that town hall. I was able to show up and sort of record some of the town hall that was being presented that night, help facilitate with showing people where to sit, handing out flyers for information, and that's sort of where our relationship kind of took off.
And what do you do now with the organization? What is your job specifically?
So right now, I'm the chair committee member for the Public Safety Committee. I'm also a board member for San Diego Neighborhood Coalition. My main goal is mainly helping educate the community on outreach programs that they have in regards to the unhoused and crime that they're seeing throughout the neighborhoods. With that, once a month, I do meet with San Diego Police at their Captain's Advisory Board and sort of bring to light a lot of the issues that we're hearing from different community members, businesses, and residents within the neighborhood and surrounding neighborhoods. I meet mainly with the different community members, different businesses within the communities that we represent, and I bring to light a lot of the issues that they're seeing in regards to crime, homelessness, anything of those natures, and I bring those to the forefront of the San Diego Police Department to help make sure that our community is educated on what they can do to best prepare themselves if any situation does arise inside their business, outside their business, or throughout the community area. I first got introduced to it early November of last year. So we're about a month away from being a year for myself. I know Kevin had been working on it for some time prior to that. And so I'd say, a year and 6 months would probably be good for the total time of the organization. We are actively looking for new members. We currently, have a pool of people who have volunteered for different outreach programs that we have. We have a member list that's continually growing every month. And so we are currently, trying to get more people to join and make sure that their voices are heard throughout the community.
Do you need to be a member to volunteer?
No, not at all. You can be, any citizen can come help volunteer. They reach out to myself, Kevin, and we can set them up with different projects that we're working on. We do have a membership as well. So if those volunteers decide that, the values that they hold align with what we have and what we hold, and they do want to join in our membership, then, they have the autonomy to do that.
Where do you set up your communities?
So we work with a number of different neighborhoods right now: Little Italy, East Village, Mission Hills, Point Loma, handful of other, North Park, number of other different neighborhoods is sort of kind of where we stretch out and kind of where we try and get members from and deal with all of those different community outlines.
How does this event look like?
Well, the first one that we had was probably one of our biggest events at the church, where we hosted, well over 200 people, I'd say. We had a number of different news outlets come. And so outside of that, we have a couple different big events that we're planning for at the end of the year, and then rolling into next year. We're going to be hosting a fundraiser October 24th. And so there we'll have donations from businesses. A lot of our members and new members can come and have sort of a silent auction bidding on different, donations that we have received from these businesses. They can learn more about our coalition, what we're doing in the neighborhood, and decide themselves if they want to join or not. But it should be a great turnout. We're hoping to have, about 100 to 200 people for that fundraising event. And then next year, we're going to have our biggest event to date, and that's going to be our community outreach program in the park, where we're going to have well over 100 vendors. It'll be down at Waterfront Park in Little Italy. We're going to have sort of a community day, as we like to call it, where we're going to have vendors. We'll have, different areas where people can learn about businesses that are in the area. There is going to be a children's hospitality area where they can come. We're going to have a number of different, blow up, sort of bounce houses, kids areas where they can come and hang out and really make the whole day about the community and make sure that, everyone is aware of what we're doing and how we're trying to help, the citizens and the residents that are living within our community.
What are the achievements that you have until now?
What was the what?
What are the achievements that you have until now?
The achievements that we've had. Well, we've been able to help postpone the Hope on Vine mega shelter that was supposed to take precedent here at the end of the year. We had a huge turnout at City Hall where we were able to express our voices and show our concern for what that might do to the neighborhoods if that had passed. Thankfully, it has not passed, but it hasn't taken a hard stance for a no. It's sort of in a limbo right now where the mayor's going to go back with a new plan and to the city council members and see if that new plan is something that's going to resonate with them. We've been very, vocal about advocating for not having that mega shelter. A number of different reasons is the impact it's going to have on the community surrounding businesses if we do have a shelter that houses up to 1,000 unhoused in San Diego in one specific area. And so that's been a huge achievement that we've been able to have this year so far. Outside of that, just growing the organization in general, starting something from scratch and bringing it to life isn't something easy. And so being able to register as a nonprofit 501c3 has been huge for the coalition, bringing in members, bringing in guest speakers every month into our meetings, and as well having an impact on the community has been an achievement of its own.
Why do you oppose the housing project?
We oppose the housing project for a number of reasons. We don't think a mega shelter is something that is going to be beneficial for the unhoused that we're seeing in our neighborhoods. First off, the size of the warehouse is drastically smaller than what would be needed for 1,000 people mega shelter. And what we've seen throughout California is that smaller shelters have actually had bigger impact for unhoused being rehabilitated and back into society. And so that's a number one concern for us there. Another one would be the impact it would have on the surrounding businesses. Right now, San Diego, Little Italy specifically, is having issues with unhoused people, harassing customers, harassing business owners. And so to have such a huge mega shelter in and near those businesses, we feel like would disrupt that even more. And so those are two key reasons why we've been opposed of the mega shelter. Outside of that, it's going to be a huge tax burden on San Diego community. They were proposing a lease of 35 years that would go well beyond any political term for any city council member sitting right now, but the burden would still be on San Diego residents. And so with those three main points, those are why we've been opposing it.
Do you work with the government?
What do you mean with the government?
With state agencies or federal agency?
We're more than happy to work with any agency. We try and bring in city council members to speak with our members. Oftentimes they're,
What are some of the issues that you see that, for example, police officers or state members usually address?
What are some of the what?
Issues that you see the police officers and city members usually address?
Some of the issues that we've seen them address, really just, that's a good question. Some of the issues that I've seen them address, well, I guess I haven't really seen city council members address many of the issues firsthand. Again, we try and invite all city council members to our meetings, whether their calendar is free for that or not is up to them. One thing that we have been told from the police department is to utilize the Get It Done app. And so through this app, we're able to take pictures, upload videos of anything that we see, and know that, when an officer sees that they will respond to those. The app is called Get It Done. I believe it's a San Diego City app. And through this app, you can take pictures, upload videos. If you see, for instance, unhoused encampments outside of your business, you can take a picture, upload it to the Get It Done app, and know that at some point a San Diego police officer will drive by and address that issue.
So let me give you an example. The Get It Done app is an app that we encourage all the business owners to upload on their device. And say for example, they're the business owner and they come out and there's a homeless person that is sleeping in front of their business, and the customer can't come in. So the business owner would take a picture of that person, a facial picture, and then they will put in there a report on what's going on. We send it directly to San Diego Police. San Diego Police responds. They come out and they address the issue. Normally what they are trying to do is move this homeless person from the business to a safe sleeping site where they can get services. So through the Get It Done app, that's a part of the app that we use in addition to our Neighborhood Watch program. And our Neighborhood Watch program ties directly into that because we have business owners, we have residents, they're all a part of the Neighborhood Watch program. And what they're doing is they're reporting stuff to our police department. And we're working closely with our police department so we can all address these problems collectively, together.
Has this been an efficient way to address the problems?
Excuse me?
Has this been an efficient way to address the problems?
Yeah, it has been. And we, because we work close with our police department, and they've been very good. Once we send the information in, they've been good at responding and helping these people get to the right place, like a slave sleeping site, where they can get services. Because a lot of these people, they got mental problems, and so their mental problems don't always translate to what they're doing because they have no control of their mental process. So if we can get them to these slave sleeping sites, they can get the services to deal with their mental problem, job services, housing, and stuff like that. And so we can get these people off the street and get them into some productive housing situation. They would become a better person because they would be dealing with their mental capacity.
Do you think this is a public health issue?
Do I what?
Do you think this is a public health issue?
Of course, it's a public health issue. Anytime somebody's got to live on the street and they don't have no one where to live, it's a public health problem.
How is that?
Well, a police officer cannot force people to take services. They can suggest it, they can ask them, but they can't force them to take services. And so that's when the county comes involved through the care court. And the care court is where the county has social workers, and they're going to kick it off next year, 2025. They just put $32 million with UCSD for a mental health facility where they're going to be taking these people from the street, transferring them to USD for mental health services, and that's going to help these people not only once they deal with their mental health, but move these people, transition these people to housing. So that's what we've been trying to get the county to do, and finally, recently, the county passed $32 million of program with UCSD to be able to address this problem.
How does your organization help?
We meet with our board of supervisors at least we try to meet with them once a month. We always don't get there once a month, and we share with them some of the issues that we have. And so this has been helpful to the board of supervisors because it gives them an idea on what's actually going on in the street. And as a nonprofit, we're closer to the community than the board of supervisors. So we actually see what's going on in our individuals' communities. And we work with our supervisors, our city council members to try to help us to address all of this collectively.
What is the main thing you are focusing for this 2024 to 2025?
Well, we got a pretty big agenda for 2025, but one thing, we got to continue to focus on being able to move the homeless people from the streets to safe sleeping sites, eventually to a permanent place for them to live. Because until we address the core issues, and the core issues is the mental illness of these folks, until we address that, we're not going to be able to help them. You have to address that before you address anything else.
Do you think the normalization and legalization of drugs has been a factor that affects the community in this way?
Well, we got business owners telling us that, because of what we do, their business is better now. because of our relationship with the business owner, our relationship with the police. They're telling us now, I try to meet with a lot of business owners maybe once a week, I always get around, but they're telling us now, because of what we do and because of they got involved in the Neighborhood Watch program, or through which Dylan is the chairman of that, they are saying a lot of positive things about the organization. They're saying, look, this organization has really helped my business better because they've been able to help us get these homeless people moved into a place where they can get some help.
How many cases have you had?
Huh?
How many cases have you had help?
I just talked to a couple of business owners the other day, and they are applauding the organization on its proactive status on working with the police and trying to address the homeless issue, because at that point they had no one to contact, and once we got involved, they got the information and they got the resources to be able to help solve some of these problems.
What do you think should change from now on in these future years?
Well, I think as long as we want to come up with a comprehensive plan with all the neighborhood coalition members. We want to come up with a comprehensive plan on how we can address homelessness, because that's the only way the city does not have a comprehensive plan. The county does not have a comprehensive plan. We want to bring all the parties together and say, look, work with the community, work with us so we can come up with a comprehensive plan so we can address homeless problem. Because until we come up with a comprehensive plan, we're not going to be able to solve the problem.
So you want to expand?
Well, we hope that it would expand, because
Is that a plan?
Huh?
Is that a plan, expanding to other communities?
Yeah, we would like to, because when we talk about North Park, we talk about downtown, we talk about Little Italy, we talk about Mission Hills, we talk about University Heights. All of us have the same problem. All of us have the same homeless problem. So we know what the problem is. That's why we all want to come together, and we want to formalize a comprehensive plan. And then once we formalize a comprehensive plan, we submit it to our elected officials, and we ask them to adopt this plan. And it allows us to come up with an overreaching plan to be able to address this not only from a human standpoint, but from a standpoint of people. Nobody deserves to live on the street. Nobody deserves to live on the street. And the more people we can get off the street into the services, the better it's going to be for our communities. Yeah, everybody needs housing, but see, the problem is San Diego, housing is so expensive in San Diego. So we along with our elected officials, we got to come out with a way to find cheap housing, because if we can't help these homeless people unless we get them into housing. Shelters is not the solution. Shelters is a temporary fix. The solution is permanent housing. And once we get people off the street into permanent housing, that's going to be helpful, because the shelters, just like, for example, San Diego City is getting ready to close 750 shelter beds by the end of the year. We have to find another way to move these people for these shelters that are closing, to find them somewhere else to place. So the mayor and the city council is trying to identify other places for these people to go, because at the end of the year, 750 people are going to be put on the street if we don't find a place for them to go.
What worries you most about the future? What problems?
Well, I think the greatest thing that we try to do is try to get people involved in the organization, try to get people to see what the positive things that we can do working together with our communities, with our business owners, with our police department, with our elected officials. We're all into this together. So we're trying to bring everybody together under one big tent, and we all trying to work together to solve the problem. We can't do it piecemeal. We have to come together as a total community. Business owners, homeowners, police, elected officials, county officials, state officials. We all got to come together as a group to be able to solve the problem.
You talk about you have a fundraiser, right?
We have a scheduled fundraiser, yes.
When is that going to be?
Well, it's scheduled for October the 24th. We're still trying to work out all the kinks with it. But it's scheduled, as of today, it's scheduled for October the 24th.
Where can they fundraise? You said there's going to be a blind auction?
Well, the fundraiser is going to be like four different. It's going to be like a silent auction. It's going to be there's going to be music. There's going to be food. There's going to be entertainment, and there's going to be different business owners that are donating stuff, and we're going to auction it off. all the money from the fundraiser goes to pay for our website. So every dollar that we raise from the fundraiser is going to go to pay for our website. So we will have a presence. So people can go, because right now we don't have a website. They go to our Facebook page, they go to our social media, but we try to use this money, every dollar that's raised through the fundraiser is going to go to develop our website.